Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Jen Jodwin. I'm an advanced holistic nutritionist and one of the hosts of this back to school event. Today, I am so excited to be introducing a very close friend of mine, Ashley Beatty. Ashley is a mama of one beautiful, spunky young girl with another one on the way. And I met Ashley while working in childcare. She's an early childhood educator, and has taught me so much about children, which is why I felt she was the perfect guest speaker to talk today about a few things that are going to help all of our parents, whether you are homeschooling your children, sending them back to school, a hybrid of both options, or still undecided. So we've all spent the last 6 months developing some sort of new routine in our houses. Now, for many of us, those routines, or a lack thereof, are about to change again. So I want to talk today about our morning routines because these are really what is going to set the tone for our day, including for our children. So I know that getting our children ready in the mornings can be some of the most stressful and rushed times of our day. And unfortunately, this sets up the day for anxiety and stress, negative emotions. So I really believe that having a healthy, positive, and productive morning routine is crucial to having a healthy and happy day, routine, education, work experience for you, and just all around life relationship with your children. So what many of us don't think about when our kids are off at school or kindergarten, preschool, or even in daycare is the amount of transitioning between activities and the emotions that take place throughout the day, and how these transitions are either making or breaking your children's energy, mood, concentration, and even affecting their ability to regulate their emotions. So for example, and I'm sure most of us as parents have gone through this type of experience, but have you ever noticed the emotional meltdown and breakdowns that your children get when you tell them it's time to stop doing their favorite activity and to come eat or get dressed or go outside or put their shoes on or whatever it is you've asked them to do? Suddenly the world is ending. Or they're dawdling, getting their shoes on as you're trying to rush out the door because you're already late and now you're screaming and they're crying on the floor, refusing to do anything. I know me personally, I have been in this situation many times, and it is definitely challenging. It is so frustrating. So I'm sure that we can all agree that reducing challenging behaviors at home in the morning would be a relief for a lot of us. So regardless of what your morning routines actually consist of, you can enjoy a smoother morning routine by focusing on the transition aspect of it. So from an educator who is a pro at establishing healthy routines with proactive transitions between activities, let's find out how we can do that. So Ashley, welcome to our back to school event. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And so I have a couple of questions for you if you are ready.
Yes.
Okay, so can you explain exactly what it means to transition our children from one activity to another?
So in a daycare, we do transitions 100 times a day. We're always moving different activities. There's a lot more kids, so that there's transitions at different times for different kids. So personally, I have become more aware of how I transition certain children. Every child is different, and some things work for one child, won't work for another. So we just kind of work around those and kind of get into a routine. So my favorite is giving a child a warning. So I always start with a 5-minute warning when you're kind of keep an eye on the clock. Pick 5 minutes before you need to start transitioning to the next activity. And then that will give them time to adjust and know what's going to happen next. So they have 5 minutes to wrap up their playing, and that will make your transition a lot more smoother. So normally I do a 5-minute warning and then a 2-minute warning, and then I'll give a warning that it's time to start cleaning up or time to move to the next activity. And then during a transition, there's always some sort of waiting in between the first activity that they were doing to the next. So waiting is a big thing for some children, and that's the spot where they start to get upset or start to lose their control over what they're doing. And then just the setup of the next activity and moving into playing and doing whatever that activity is.
That's right. That's actually a really great idea. The 5-minute warning. I love that one. I personally use that one at home too, and I do find it effective. It just kind of gives your kids that, like, that time to mentally prepare for that transition, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a really great one. So what would you say are some of the most like difficult aspects for children when they're transitioning between activities?
If it's something that they really enjoy doing and they don't want to stop, but at some points of our day, we have to stop what we're doing and start on our next activity. So if we're doing an art activity and the child is loving coloring or painting, then they have to stop and put that away. They may not be finished with that activity yet. And sorry, Riley, come back. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, so they're really enjoying their activity and they don't want to put it away.
Yes. So the hardest part for a child is just knowing that they don't always know that they can come back later on when it's a more appropriate time. So sometimes we have to go to the bathroom or we have to go in the car to go somewhere else because we have an appointment. So just reassuring the child that we can come back to this at a different time, and just make sure you're following through with that so that they can learn that, yes, we have to be done right now, but I can come back later and finish what.
Okay, that's really, really great. Okay. But then for parents, like what part of transitioning children between activities is most difficult are you finding for parents? Like where do parents struggle the most in having a smooth transition for their children between activities?
I know for me as a parent, it's different at home than it is for me at work. Sometimes it's more stressful when your child is when they're more tired and they're starting to have that meltdown and you're tired and you just want to fix it for them and make them stop crying. So you sometimes let it go and just let them continue doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, even though that may cause you to be late or to delay bedtime, which will cause more problems at bedtime, which it makes it so just not following through is sometimes difficult, but it will be easier in the end if you do.
Okay. So apart from the obvious like reduced emotional meltdowns from our children, why is it important to have positive transitions?
Just for everybody. So I know it's just, it'll be easier for you as a parent and the child if there's no meltdowns in between. Like no one wants to have a crying child at every half an hour of their day. Every time you transition, just going into a grocery store and having to have a child who, if you say something and they know that your words have meaning and that you're going to follow through with your own words, that they will be happier in the grocery store because they know once they are done that they can go and continue their activity that they were doing at home, or just having like parents can help their children have smoother transitions by the routine they set with them.
Okay. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. So it just builds that trust factor between parent and child.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so then that does help make that transition easier in the morning, right? Because the child understands that when the parent says that, you know, there's a transition coming, they respect that that transition is coming and that they can't control that. But they trust the parent that if they say they can do that activity again later, or when they come back from school or whatever the case may be, they have that trust factor that they can return to that and that it's not just empty words.
Yes. And if you have a routine set up with your children, so you get up, you have breakfast, you brush your teeth, you get dressed, and you put on your shoes to go to school, they know every morning what to expect. And so it's not just a guessing game of what we're doing next. They kind of get into that routine and they know that by the end, they're going to have their shoes on and they're going to go to school, or they're going to go wherever their day is going to take them.
Okay.
So just having that routine set up will help the parent know what's coming next, help the child know what's coming next, and then it will just go a lot more smoothly.
So for younger children who don't really have a concept of time, or like a strong recollection of what a routine looks like, what is a way that a parent can ease that transition of the expectations in the morning for their younger children, say like under 6, between like 3 and 6 years old?
So I love picture routines. If you can easily set it up, if you take a picture of, say, their of your bath, they could be real life pictures, they could be clip art pictures, however you want to do it. So you could have a showing a picture of breakfast, and you just set it up on a time. It doesn't have to be the time, but just the order of routine, so that the child can go and look at it and say, oh, this is breakfast, so I'm going to do breakfast first. And then once you're done, you can take the picture off or flip it over so that that activity is done, and then move on to the next one. And once they're all checked off, the child's morning routine would be complete.
Okay, I love that. And it gives them that like visual reminder of what's coming, so that transition is a little smoother.
Yes, and it does take a little time to get it set up. So I normally like to take at least 2 weeks to get a routine in place. A child may resist some of the routine changes at the beginning, and you may think it's not working. But as you go through the routine each morning, every day, it will get a little better. And then by the end, it'll be something that comes second nature to the child, even at a young age, like 2 or 3. They do adapt really quickly, and they will pick up the routine that you're doing. As long as you stay consistent, those routines will be put into place, and they will do really well with them.
Okay. So as of today, we're actually exactly 2 weeks to the start of school. So what you're saying is now is a good time to start implementing a morning routine with children to prepare them for what September will look like, regardless of what their actual September looks like.
Yes, definitely. I would recommend starting now and not the day of, because your first day is going to be a little rougher than it would be 2 weeks from now. And you want to start off on a good note and not start with the child with high anxiety about going to school. And so you would so the sooner you start, the better it will be for them on their first day.
Okay, cool. That's really good to know. So are there any skills that parents can be teaching their kids that are going to help in transitioning?
So I think the most important is the waiting aspect, because and no matter how old you are, no matter where you are, there's always going to be some sort of waiting period where there's nothing really to do, and the children tend to get bored. And as parents, we've started filling these times with tablets and electronics and other things. So for example, driving in the car to school, or if they're going on the bus for the first time, they're not going to have the device on the bus where they can keep themselves busy. So if you teach them how to be bored, say in the car, so they can look outside of the window, and it's a really good skill to have, so that even while they're in school, during those waiting periods, even if it's only 1 or 2 minutes, they're able to stand in line and wait for the teacher's next instructions. They're able to wait for their turn, because now they're in a group of either 8 to 20 kids, or 30 in some cases. So if they're able to wait and have those smoother transitions, their day will go a lot smoother as well.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. I didn't even think of that. Oh boy, now I've got some work to do. It's true, right? Like I feel like as parents, we do spend a lot of time trying to fix our children's problems as opposed to allowing them the opportunity to solve it themselves, right? So trying to fill in that downtime for them is kind of something that we do, sometimes not even realizing that we've done it, right? And like you've said, like it's not really helping them because they're not learning that skill to fill that time independently.
Yes.
Okay, that's neat. That's good to know. All right. Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up. But do you have any other suggestions or tips that you can offer our parents to have healthy and positive morning routines with easier transitions and less challenging behaviors?
So my best advice would be setting a good bedtime routine. I know it's at the end of your day, but if you have a good end to your day and your children are going to bed on time and have lots of sleep time and make sure they're well rested for the morning, their morning is going to go a lot smoother than a tired child who's not wanting to get out of bed, who is just so tired that even as adults we can't function as well as we can if we get a good night's sleep. So setting the goal to have a bedtime, have a routine at nighttime, will help their mornings and their full day go a lot smoother than it would if their nighttime is not as organized and not as stress-free as it could be.
Right. Okay. That makes total sense. Okay. Well, thank you, Ashley, so much for being here today and for sharing all of this incredible knowledge with us. I'm sure all of our parents have truly appreciated the information that you've shared. To everybody else who's watching this, if you have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment below. We'd be happy to give you more suggestions or give you a little bit of insight into what you can be doing at home to make those morning routines a little bit smoother and those transitions easier on your children. Otherwise, have yourselves a fantastic day. I know there is a huge lineup of presentations and interviews and talks and even some challenges and prize giveaways going in throughout this event. So thank you all so much for being here, and be sure to check in often. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.